Never have the fame of other Pennsylvania cities like Philadelphia or Pittsburgh, but it will always hold a special place in the hearts of those who follow Western Kentucky University athletics. That small town in western Pennsylvania gave them Tip Downing. He starred on the hardwood under the legendary E.A. Diddle and tore up the gridiron for Hall of Fame classmate Gander Terry. The three Hilltopper basketball teams he played for from 1939 to 1942 won 75 games, a remarkable 83% ratio. Downing's performance was pivotal to Western's march to the 1942 National Invitation Tournament Championship game. Those teams also won 3 Southern Intercollegiate Athletic Association championships and 2 Kentucky Intercollegiate Athletic Conference titles. Downing earned berths on the 1940 and 41 All-SIAA teams and a spot on the KIAC team in 1942. But let's not forget his role in Western's 18 wins on the football field those 3 seasons. The 1940 team Downing helped build held the opposition scoreless 7 times. A true winner, 1997 Western Athletic Hall of Fame inductee Howard Tip Downing.
Excuse me. I'm indeed very honored and pleasantly surprised to be selected by the committee of the Western Kentucky University Athletic Hall of Fame Committee. I'm so proud when I heard that I was selected by Walter York. He called me about 5 or 6 weeks ago and said that I'd been nominated. I just couldn't wait to get up here and see all the old folks up here that I knew before and just enjoy Bowling Green. Bowling Green has changed so much since I was here 50 years ago. I sort of get lost going around trying to find things. And I'm very impressed with all the new buildings and the fact that most of them are named after former professors and administrators. I think it's a very appropriate thing to do. Before I go any further, I'd like to introduce my wife. She beat us all here. She was here when she was 3 years old. Her mother and father were teachers and came back to summer school, and Coach Diddle volunteered to keep her for one class period, so he met her before I did. But Coach Diddle told me this some time ago. He said that he'd buy her an ice cream cone and she'd have it to her and she'd put it up to her lips and she'd shake her head and say, "Warm it." And so he would take it away, but he thought that was a pretty big thing. He told me that one day. So my wife would stand, Helen Nichols Downing. You stand, please. We've been married 51 years, and she's been my constant companion, my best critic. Now, also at the time, 2 of my brothers, we're from a large family of boys, but two of my brothers are still living. They came to Bowling Green for the first time yesterday. I'd like them to stand. Jerry Downing from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And Paul Downing from Newport, Kentucky. So I'm very pleased they could be here for this occasion. Looking back over the years, when I first arrived here, I almost turned around and left. When I got the train down here at the station, I stepped off to what I thought was the hottest place I was ever in. By the time I got up to the square, I was dripping wet with perspiration carrying my bag. But you had a gentleman downtown there that I asked the directions up here to Western. He says, "Go up College Street here." He said, "Before you do, I got to buy you a Coke so you can make it." So he went to the Pearson's drugstore down there, I guess Pearson's, and we had a Coca-Cola and talked to him a bit. And I started up the hill and found out how friendly people are in Bowling Green. I'd gone about half block, and a fellow drove up in the car and swung the door open and said, "Hop in if you're going up on the hill." So I hopped in. I couldn't understand the fellow too well. He talked with a different accent than I'd heard for some time. By the time we got up here, and it took me down to the football field and introduced me to Coach Terry. Excuse me. By then, I discovered it was Coach Diddle. And so I met Coach Diddle right there and didn't know who he was. And at Coach Diddle, I met Coach Terry, Gander Terry. I met his staff, Teddy Hornback, Aaron Winkenhofer, and Ed Stansberry. I'm so proud Ed Stansberry could be here today. See him after all these years. It's been a good 50 years since I saw Ed. But they were a fine bunch of men, and they encouraged us to play the best we could, which we generally did. And I see today we're going to play Murray again. Murray's always loved to play Murray. In football, when I was here, we tied twice and beat them once by 1 touchdown. But I hope today we can put it on them good and hard. Reminiscing on some of the football games we played here, the best game I thought was Eastern Kentucky came down to Bowling Green with undefeated records. They'd won all previous year and won half their games, all their games the year we played them, so they had about 14, 15 wins, and they were touted as the best Eastern Kentucky football team ever. So they come in here, and the first half they proved they were. They put us down 20-0, 3 touchdowns on us. And then at halftime, the Western Spirit took over. We decided if Eastern could score 3 touchdowns, Western could score 4. So we went back and got 4 on them, knocked them off. I thought it was one of our best victories while I was here. All the time we were here, we only got run over 1 time, and that was by Marshall College. They had an outstanding football team up there, and they had a fellow by the name of Jackie Hunt. What a runner he was, and they had a real fast boy, Courtney. We kept him going around the ends, but we couldn't hold Jackie Hunt up the middle. We, in fact, stopped him on the line every time but 5, and that's 5 times he went all the distance. It beat our socks off. But that's the only time I can remember where we weren't in the ball game. Oh, the other time we talked about Murray tying them twice. The 3 games we tied Murray twice and Moorhead once. The Moorhead, though, we sort of thought we'd got it taken away from us. We went up to Moorhead, kept them on their end of the field. They never did get across midfield. In fact, we perched on their 20 to 10 yard line, 20 yard line all game long, and every time we scored, flag would drop and bring it back. Go score again, bring it back. Duke Delaney, I don't know how many times over the goal line there and had the ball over and the stripes across his chest. The referee said somebody moved in line. So, but then he found out later that the coach up there, his roommate in college, was the head official there, and he was sort of looking after his friend. In basketball, we seemed to stay in all the games all the time. Nobody beat us bad. Last time we never beat anybody bad, but we always managed to win. We were a well-knit outfit, played well together, good team work. The few games we did lose were just last-minute shots and things like that. I remember Bradley had an outstanding team. Excuse me. We went up to Peoria, Illinois, had them beat all the way to right at the last of the game, and one of our senior guards back then decided he was going to glory a little bit and threw up 2 or 3 long shots, so he had the game won, and they took it away from us. But he drove for a basket at the end. They were trying to win it, and they knocked him over 3 rows of seats, and I smiled real big. He deserved it. And the other close one we had was NIT in Madison Square Garden. West Virginia finally edged us out right in the last minute of play by 2 free throws. We beat the favorite up there in the first game, City College in New York, coached by the famous Nat Holman. We led them all the way. But he brought on whom I call the hero of Western at that time, a boy by the name of Ray Blevins. Ray very seldom got to play. He was off the bench. And in that final game up there, I remember I set a few screens, and the official said, you can't pick him off up here, and you're not going to run that offense. So I told Coach Dilly, he said, I'm not going to run that offense. So he brought out a secret weapon, Ray Blevins. Ray came into the game there, and 17 minutes, he poured in 22 points. Just played about half the time. Next game, against Creighton, he came back in and duplicated his performance. In the final game, he again came through. So there's a boy that never did start a game, played very little, made an all-tournament team, the second leading scorer of the tournament, and to me, he was really something. Ray Blevins. Coming back here, see my good friend D-Row. D-Row and his brother Ellick and I all played in the same ball club. Ellick was a senior one year, I was a junior, and D-Row was a sophomore. Everybody thought we were brothers, but I didn't tell them for a long time we weren't. I enjoyed having them for brothers. And other things that I enjoyed coming back here to see was a lot of my old friends sitting down here at the table down here. I don't want to start naming off because there's too many of them down there, and I might forget somebody. The one person I do miss, though, is Buck Sidner. Buck was my running mate at the guard and the basketball team, and he couldn't be here today. But I will see Buck later today, go visit him. With that, I wish you all Godspeed.
Thank you.